All right, guys, it's time to embark on a journey with me, a very long journey. The X-Files is a show that I've kind of been nervous to do, honestly. I mean, I'm a huge geek on so many things. And when you get into these kinds of science fiction type shows or whatever, like a Star Wars, a Star Trek, an X-Files, whatever, you start dealing with a completely different fandom. And because I'm not like the most, the biggest expert, should I say, on X-Files, it always been one of those things where I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go down that avenue, and it's such a huge dedication. There's like 217 episodes or something insane. And while I've seen near every single one of them, I know that my knowledge on the show as a whole is fairly limited. But going back now and rewatching this from beginning to end, as I'm choosing to do, hopefully I will be wiser to the show. I just, I as you guys know, I'm a big Star Wars fanatic, and I keep current with everything. I read every book, every comic, every video game, everything. Like, I am completely caught up on the new canon. I collect every single thing, and you can see it over here. That's why I'm looking over in that direction. Like, I have every book, everything. But I wouldn't touch Star Wars outside of the feature films. I reviewed Last Jedi, and I reviewed Solo, Star Wars story. But doing the books, doing it, no fucking way. No way. Because Star Wars fans, for the most part, are assholes. They're know-it-all assholes. And even if I know my shit pretty damn well in there, it just gets down to it's like a political discussion, and it becomes very annoying. So X-Files kind of had always been that, kind of in that same realm for me, where I was like, oh God, I don't want to deal with the fan base in case those guys start watching. But you know what? Fuck it. My fan base is big enough now. I have over 3,000 subscribers, and a lot of you guys watch whatever the hell I do, which is wonderful, and I appreciate that, and thank you. And hopefully there's some X-Files fans on my page that will be excited that I'm doing this, and if not, I will obviously still be doing movies and everything, just like always. I do not intend to do this too fast. This will be a long journey. This will be like, the Fellowship taking the ring to Mordor. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. It's going to be very, very long. So I'll be surprised if I can get this done in a year. I wouldn't be surprised if I was you can do time lapse. You can take a picture of me at the beginning of every video and then just string them together, and I'll be president old at the end of it. I'll be all stressed out 200 and something episodes later. Anyways, let's talk about this episode itself, because I've just had this burning desire lately to do the X-Files. I sat there and I couldn't pick anything on television for 2 nights almost, because I was just I want to watch the X-Files. I want to do it. I want to fucking do it. I want to watch them. I want to review them. I want to talk about them. This will be so fun. It was such a big part of my childhood. When it became a syndication as well, you would just get on at midnight, and it was just oh, it's X-Files. I've seen this episode 16 times. I've seen this episode 35 times. I don't give a shit. Leave it on. I love it. I love it so much. Another big reason, I think any geek like me of the 90s can relate here. One of the biggest geek crushes of all time, Dana Scully. Holy shit, do I crush hard on Scully. Even going back right now, she's just her hair's red for a reason, man, because that chick is fire. I just think she is unbelievably hot in every imaginable way. She's sexy, she's cute, she's brilliant, she's amazing. Oh, God, Scully. I'm going to be gushing over Scully pretty much every episode. So we should just have a meter of different gauges of how hot Scully is in every episode. This is a 1 on a Scully hot factor, and this is a 10. In this episode, we showcase how hot she is. Second episode, she actually gets into her bra and panties. So there you go. See, that would be a 10 on the Scully factor. So let's talk about the episode itself, because as I said, this show was so fucking important to my upbringing. I watched it all the damn time. I am so familiar with these first like 3 or 4 seasons or something, whatever it was, when I was like in the mid 90s when I was growing up. I was just watching these episodes tons and tons and tons of times. So we'll stick to the pilot here, which I didn't even know what the hell a pilot was until I watched Pulp Fiction. So I was like, oh, that's what a pilot means. Got it. I didn't know. Maybe this show's about a pilot. And I mean, what's interesting about this first episode, and this usually happens with pilots, is that the iconic theme and opening is not there. You know, Mark Snow's iconic theme song, and that real memorable opening. I mean, I would argue that it's the most iconic opening to a show ever to me. Like up there with like Mystery Science Theater 3000, but that's more of like that's not as well known as something like the X-Files. You pop on the X-Files, even the song for like 1 second, people are like, X-Files, that song, but like throw it on the TV, everyone knows that damn song, everyone knows that thing, and it's unbelievably amazing. So this episode starts as that the following is based on, like real documents. So they at first were trying to go off of realistic documents that they were playing. It gets way out there as the seasons go on, but I thought that was interesting that they led with that in the opening of this episode. And so we got this dead body, has 2 little dots on the back of it. You're thinking, oh, maybe it's a vampire, maybe, I don't know, they look like moles or something. Not moles, but yeah, I guess moles. And we find out that this is one of many kids now that has died from class of '89. And then this is when we meet Dana Scully, and she's brought in to keep an eye on Mulder and just kind of report back, spy, so to speak, on Mulder and see if what he's doing has any validity to it or whatever. Of course, there's a different agenda going on there, but that's what she thinks she's going into. And we find out that she was recruited right out of medical school. Most people don't do that. She just had this calling. She wanted to come to the FBI and help out. And we find out that Mulder, known as Spooky Mulder, is a psychologist, and that he kind of gravitates more towards the supernatural and the unexplained. So they assign her to the X-Files, and she goes down to meet him. And it's so weird rewatching this episode because they're just such a duo, like them. It's like Mulder and Scully. It's like freaking peanut butter and jelly. It's like they just go together when you hear the name. So to see them meet for the very first time when you go back to watch this is very odd. It's just like, any duo in the history of ever met at one point, and they didn't know each other. They knew nothing about one another when they met. And so it's always interesting to go back to see the genesis of their relationship. If the show showcases it. Some shows, they're just friends from the beginning, but in this one, we actually get to see them meet for the first time. And she, which I find it funny that in real life, David Duchovny doesn't believe in like UFOs and whatever, and Gillian Anderson does. Supposedly. That's what I had read, so I thought that was kind of funny. But Scully's definitely more of the me of the show. She's the skeptic till the end. Annoyingly so as it goes on. You're like, okay, Scully, I think you've seen, like if I seen the shit she's seen, I'd been a believer by then. But she is so like grounded in her logic and in the things she thinks she knows that it takes forever. And then of course once Fox goes missing in like seasons, at the end of like season 7 or whatever, when like Doggett comes in like 8 and those, like then she becomes the believer and he's the skeptic, which is just like, really, when Mulder's around you can't believe, but now that he's gone you're gonna all of a sudden believe? We'll see how the show goes. Maybe my memory on that is completely backwards or wrong or whatever, but that is my memory of it. And I was like kind of annoyed, like, come on, Scully, where was this belief when Mulder was around? But Jesus Christ, we're on episode 1. I'm already talking about 7 and 8, season 8. Whew, let's keep on track here. But yeah, she wants to prove she believes that everything is provable by science, which that's how I am. I'm always like, no, just because they haven't proved it yet. Just because they haven't proved it doesn't mean they can't prove it. Like, it's just they haven't proved it yet. And the plane is about to crash when they're flying out, and it starts to go down and Mulder is just calm as can be, and Dana's like, like a normal person, just kind of like anxious and like, oh shit, I don't want to die, what the hell's going on? And Mulder is basically like, I expected this, like, we must be getting close to where we're at, because these kinds of unexplained phenomena are surrounding these areas and these planes. Jesus Christ, man, I swear to God, it's not cocaine. It's been pouring lately, and I'm starting to get a damn cold from my kid. Ugh, so annoying. My nose is like crazy right now. Anyway, we also get to see Mulder's sunflower seed infatuation, which I was a huge sunflower seed eater when I was a kid as well. I think it's just kind of a nervous habit. It kept me from biting my nails, but as you can see, I ditched the sunflower seeds and went back to my nails. I know it's gross, right? Everyone's probably vomiting right now. I hate it. I've tried everything. I've put the gross stuff on my nails. I've painted them, and that was working for a while, but I can't beat that fucking habit. It's so annoying. So their car starts to have malfunctions, so Mulder gets out and sprays an X in the road for later on in the film. A like 17 or 18-year-old kid, we find out that was out in the wilderness by himself for 7 hours and died of exposure, which is impossible, pretty much, unless it was like 10 below or something. But yeah, you're not going to die of exposure like he did, or she, something. So then they're driving back, and the car kind of like does something, and lights come, and then Mulder looks down because he expects this, I guess, very conveniently, and notices that 9 minutes are missing from the last time he looked. And when he gets out of the car, the X is on the road, proving that this is a reoccurring thing that's happening in this specific area. And then the car, this is one of the things that would have made me go, whoa, like Scully is like, what the, like when she turns, because the car turns on itself. This is a car that needs a key to start it, which you would have to turn the key for the car to come on. So the car starting on its own is absolutely impossible without some kind of unexplained phenomenon. Like, there's nothing that could have started that car. Like, that's a fucking, unless someone was like in the car that Mulder hired to like hotwire the car or something, or just turn the key, I guess, if they didn't need to hotwire, but you know what I mean. Like, that would be absolutely unexplainable. I love then, yeah. Oh no, this is the episode where she gets in her underwear. Never mind, I thought it was the next one. That's right. Dana thinks that she has the marks that they see, so she runs over to Mulder's room. She pulls down into her bra and panties. Yes, yes, yes. And he's like, it's just mosquito bites. It's a really funny scene. And she just gives him a big hug. You can see how like she's just a baby. Like, she's just starting this. She's not this hardened, police, or not police, but federal agent that she becomes later on. She's still in her infancy in the FBI, and this is her first trip out into the field. So she's a nervous, scared girl, and she's just like, oh my God, no. There's people fighting outside. Oh my God, I'm going to have a real X-File out here in a minute. They're like fucking screaming like banshees. Jesus Christ, can you guys pick that up or no? Anyways, you can use this as evidence in their court case. They're always fighting. Anyways, so then we get to hear Fox's infamous sister story that plays into this show for like 20 episodes. Oh my God, how many times does he bring up his sister? More than that, probably 50 episodes, where we're just constantly exploring what happened to his sister that night, and his quest to figure out what happened to her, and his different memories of what had happened. I mean, that sister thing becomes such a big deal. So to see him talk about it here for the very first time is interesting. It's pretty, general and vague at that moment, but it gets more, elaborate as the show goes on. And Dr. Verber is the guy who regresses him, so he knows that aliens exist, and he's been on a mission ever since. And And then they find Peggy's body, who was one of the survivors that was at the hospital with Billy, and she ends up dead at 9:03, which is exactly when they moved through that little time lapse that they had. And then they go back to their hotel, where their hotel room is on fire because they had collected some research and pictures and everything. Good thing that Scully seems to know sleight of hand, French drop or something, where she's puts it in her pocket and doesn't keep it in the room. She knows better. She's like, I ain't letting this out of my sight. But they burn the room to get rid of all the evidence. Earlier in the episode, they find the remains of what looks like a possible chimpanzee, but could be extraterrestrial, in the grave of the person who had died. And then they go to try to check the other two graves, and they have been dug up and robbed as well. And Scully's just like, what the hell? And so Mulder tells her his theory, which Mulder's theories are always way out there. And I love the reaction Scully has here, where she just like laughs almost maniacally, like, this is the most ridiculous shit ever, but I'm almost humoring it in this moment because I have no way to explain this. And she's just kind of like, oh my God, you're so fucking crazy. But like, she also finds herself kind of baffled by all these things that she sees, but she always eventually grounds herself again and is like, no, I can figure this out. And then, yeah, Billy, they figure out that Billy is the one going out there because he has that residue on his feet, whatever the hell that powder is that's out in the area that they were looking in. And Billy is out in the field holding this chick, and the light comes, and Scully's, of course, at a distance. She never actually sees the things that she's that's Mocks. I put Fox and Mulder together in one. That's how hot it is out here. I'm gonna have to do the next video inside. Yeah, so Billy is back, and his marks are gone on his back. So he was a vegetable forever, and they were like, he's not coming out of it, whatever. And once the light comes, like, everyone's fine. All of a sudden, everyone's back to normal. Billy's like, what the hell happened? What's going on here? And I guess Scully just seems to think that this is no big deal. Because I think if I saw that, I'd already be a believer. I'd be like, wait a minute, what happened? His light came, and then all of a sudden he came out, and he's been walking around as a vegetable, and his marks disappeared, and yeah, that would be pretty much enough proof for me. We also get to see the introduction of the Cancer Man here, a cigarette smoking man. So he doesn't have many lines or anything, but we do get to see him here. So he is in the very first episode. And then Scully, as I said, pocketed that metal piece that she found up in the nose of that creature, and she goes and she tests it, and there is no known freaking results. So it's something not of this earth, which, yeah, there you go. More validity towards that this is, unexplainable. And then Cancer Man puts it in some Raiders of the Lost Ark storage center in the Pentagon. And then Mulder tells her that all the paperwork and any trace of Billy right now is currently unavailable. It's all missing. It's all gone. Like, all of his testimonies, everything. The whole case on Billy and that whole thing is absolutely wiped off the face of the planet. Like, Scully has got to be, just from this first case, she's got to be like, okay, there's something to this. Like, something is really crazy going on here. So, anyways, there you go, guys. My first, this is way longer than the other ones probably will be, but I talked a lot about other stuff for like 10 minutes, but yeah, I also watched the second episode, which I'm going to get to, but I got to go inside for that. All right.